Wake me up. Am I dreaming? Unfathomable developments in the silver and gold market. Is this real? Can you believe what is happening? I do. And we're going to talk about all the reasons why. Big developing stories. Bank of America saying something unbelievable about silver and gold. Elon Musk, is he sending us a hint? And yes, of course, like the thumbnail said, $3,000 silver. I'm going to show you why that number is not out of the question and why we can look at real past comparisons with silver just in the last 50 years and why we could easily see $3,000 silver. Hey guys, the best thing I see right now is you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being in the basement. We're basement dwellers. We love to talk about silver and gold. It's a great community. I really appreciate you being here. You choose to be here. I respect that. So thank you. Thank you. And please subscribe to the channel. We hit 61,000 subscribers last night. Upstairs, Susie, my lovely and talented assistant, was very excited about that. She loves you guys also, but let's dig in. We got big news. Bank of America, $65 silver. But what's more important is the reasons why, which we're going to look at, all the evidence. Oh, and they also said $5,000 gold. Oh, and then they said $6,000 gold. Oh, and then Bank of America even had the audacity to say $8,000 gold. Here we go from investing.com. Bank of America lifts its gold target to $5,000 per ounce. Sees silver staying in a deficit. So there we go, right? They got to say, but if we dig into this article, we're going to see what they really said about silver, and it's very, very good. In green, we'll talk at gold right now. It says, looking into 2026, we're almost there, by the way, a 14% increase of investment demand, similar to what we've seen this year, could lift gold to $5,000 an ounce. A team led by Michael Widmer wrote in a note, more aggressive move to $6,000 per ounce gold would only require a 28% jump in investment flows. Guys, we're going to look at we got stuff coming in from India and Vietnam, all over the world. The big mints, what they're doing, the four big mints, sovereign mints, what they're doing with silver, it's incredible. So a 28% jump in investment demand is not that big. While the note also outlines a blue sky scenario of $8,000 per ounce for gold, which would require a 55% increase in gold purchases, a threshold BOFA, Bank of America, says looks difficult to achieve in the near term. I don't think so, but I do appreciate their analysis. Let's move down here to the silver section where we have two paragraphs on silver. Bank of America says the market remains in deficit despite expecting an 11% drop in demand. So we're still going to be in a deficit, although these quote unquote analysts are saying we could have an 11% drop in demand for silver next year as solar manufacturers cut silver loadings per panel. What that means, what do they call that? Thrifting? That now that there's so much silver going into solar panels that they're trying to find other ways that they can make solar panels with not quite as much silver. But from what I hear, they have a very difficult time doing that. We'll see if that plays out. I wouldn't be surprised if next year right now we're looking at an 11% increase in demand for silver. That could come from our friend Elon Musk, who we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. Okay, they also noted, here we go. Here's the big prediction, that supply remains tight for silver and that even a smaller deficit, or even with a smaller deficit, the white metal could still push towards $65 per ounce in 2026, so supported by continued investor demand and a lingering dislocation in the physical market. That's another way for them to say a silver squeeze. Guys, we got a ton more to cover, but before I forget, thank you to everybody for being here. Let's run out and take a look at the update right now, live, of the gold and silver price. Take your blood pressure medicine. Here we go. This is on CNN. What? Is that right? Hold on a minute. Sharing the wrong tab. Now, I don't have Susie. She had to go help her elderly mother. Okay, now you should be on the right screen. CNBC, what? Take double your dosage of blood pressure medicine. By the way, I do have high blood pressure. Fourth up, $128. Wow, unbelievable. Let's go take a look at silver and see what's happening over there in the futures market. And we will go to gold. Hold on here. Stay with me, folks. Looks like the general markets are having a good day. What? Oh my gosh, guys. In the futures market, silver is up $3 per ounce. Now, you know, there's this big, and we'll go look at the spot price next. Sorry, the computer's slower than me today. Okay. Wow. Up $3.17 in the futures. That's the December futures. Let's look at spot and see what's going on there. The spot price for silver brought to us by Kitco. And just so you guys know, that futures price we just looked at on CNBC, that's the December. That's what it costs to get silver in December, if there's any available to deliver. This is the spot price for the metals. And I'll show you where we can see that. If you go on Google and just Google Kitco spot precious metal prices, there it is right there. That's for immediate delivery of silver at $52 per ounce. So we are still in a state of backwardation, okay, which means the spot price for silver right here, $52, is higher than what we saw in the futures market, and by a significant amount, which is very unusual and only means one thing, and that is that there is some concern potentially that the silver will actually be able to be delivered in December. We will see. People are talking about big cargo airplanes flying silver from New York, from the futures markets vaults to London, the LBMA, the London Bullion Market Association, and we're so sad to hear that the LBMA is under such distress right now because they are, quote unquote, monitoring the situation. But, you know, this could get equaled out, right? There's called arbitrage, where people are buying the silver in the futures market at a lower price and then flying it to London. So don't be surprised. I want to give you, look, I'm not a financial advisor. This is crazy exciting what's going on right now in the precious metals markets, but we got to be prepared for volatility. Remember, right? Anything that goes up does have pullbacks. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. Today's a day of celebration right now, but you know how things change in markets. We could see some pullbacks, but, and we're going to look at all the reasons why. On a long-term basis, I personally remain very bullish on silver and gold. Don't forget, I've got a bear right there, the silver bear, blindfolded with $85 written on that there blindfold, which we will take off when the silver price hits $85 per ounce. And just so you know, this big bear here, for those of you who are new, spent years with a blindfold on that said $2,500 gold. And people said we'd never take that blindfold off, and we did take it off. And now we're going to look at more reasons why we're going to take all these blindfolds off, including at $85 silver. Randy Smallwood, right, the CEO. This is crazy. If central banks start buying silver, it's really game over. And this is like the most respected name in precious metals. Well, he's up there with Keith Neumeyer and Rick Rule and Eric Sprott and all those guys. But Wheaton Precious, I'll play this clip for you. Wheaton Precious Metals CEO said central banks are discussing adding silver. That's a big deal. 6 months ago, even the thought or murmur of that would have been met with like eggs thrown in our face, right? This is incredible. If it can become more than just an industrial metal, it will become something else entirely. Let's pull up our friend Randy. And again, and this is on Bloomberg television. Guys, let me get this full screen for you. And it is 20 seconds long. So listen to what Randy Smallwood says about central banks and silver.
What I'm most excited about is I'm starting to hear central banks talk about bringing silver back into their reserves too. There's noise from several different banks around the world that maybe silver should be a part of their central bank reserve base, and that of course would be very exciting for silver. It's been a long time, been 20 plus years since we've seen silver held by central banks.
Okay, there we have it. Unbelievable. Now, a lot of us in the silver field and gold field, but silver, keep a close eye on Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk can move markets big time. There's a reason why when he tweets something that very well could be about silver, I'm going to show you here in 1 second, we want to pay close attention. Okay, the reasons why are that Elon runs companies that need a lot of silver. Tesla, an electric vehicle, they're going to be using more and more silver in the future. He has a solar company, more and more silver. X, the platform that uses AI and Grok, AI is using more and more silver. SpaceX, you name it, everything electronic, that. So let's look at this tweet that came out from Elon Musk that shows us reason why we might want to pay very close attention to Elon. Elon tweets, this came from, here we go. Yep, we're on the same screen. Elon tweets, a silver surfer. Is this a hint? I don't know, guys. I think that's a hint. Elon Musk recently tweeted this picture right here, okay, of a silver man on a silver surfboard going through space. Well, he also has the space company, satellites, all this stuff uses massive amounts of silver. So we're going to keep a close eye on our friend Elon. But what we do know is happening right now, and I'm going to give you all the evidence, is that the big sovereign mints, when it comes to silver, are going through massive stress levels. That indicates some big things to us. But let's look at 4 pieces of evidence that we want to look at in regards to what is happening right now on the supply of silver to regular retail investors, because it is getting incredibly interesting. This comes from the Silver Academy, John Little on Substack. You can subscribe there. Silver Academy. Silver vanishes worldwide. Mints shut down. The LBMA seizes up. Canada's TD declare sold out. This is the end game for fiat. And let's look at some of this evidence. Let's go through this paragraph first. Global silver shock. 4 mints crashing. Market seizes. 4 mints crashing. Market seizes. In recent weeks, the silver market has entered a phase of extreme distress marked by extraordinary shortages and dysfunction at every level. For the first time in modern financial history, the world's 4 most influential national mints, sovereign mints, are reporting breakdowns that few believed possible in a functioning market. Again, guys, had we talked about this 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, we would have been heckled and made fun of. Let's look at the evidence in red. The United States Mint production of 1-ounce silver eagles has collapsed to just 20% of last year's output, leaving buyers facing record premiums and long delays for the most recognizable form of American bullion. So the U.S. Mint, right, pulling back significantly. But let's travel north, and the story grows even darker. The Royal Canadian Mint, once a pillar of institutional supply, has completely shut down distribution of 10-ounce and 100-ounce silver bars. These are not minor collectibles. They're the very lifeblood of institutional silver demand. There's so much, I can't read all of this to you. You can go out to the Silver Academy and get more details, but there's more, guys. Down under, things are no better. Down in Australia, the Perth Mint, trusted worldwide, has fully suspended all sales of silver products. Fully suspended. Not a single coin or bar will leave their facility, effectively erasing one of the world's key sources of new physical supply. And there's one more, that's in the United Kingdom, home of the LBMA, the London Bullion Market Association, who's monitoring the situation in the silver market closely. From the UK, we hear from the Royal Mint, who has limited sales. They've limited sales to 1-ounce coins only. Formerly reliable for large bars and coins, the Britannia series is now drastically constrained, with every larger denomination barred from sale. Europe's last channel for institutional size silver is closed. Guys, I mean, it's unbelievable what's going on. So that's for sovereign mints. But what about Vietnam? Asia's crazy about silver. India's crazy about silver and gold. We get this from Vietnam about gold because gold and silver, right? They're like brother and sister. Let's go see what's happening in Vietnam. Do you think? I bet there's plenty of gold in Vietnam. There has to be. Yeah, sure. This is from the VNE Express, okay? Vietnamese. Up. Hold on here. Am I sharing? There we go. I am. Vietnamese rush to buy gold, but face empty shelves on the first day as stateless bullion monopoly. In red, Vietnamese consumers flocked to gold shops nationwide on Friday, the first day the state ended its monopoly on bullion production. But many went home empty-handed amid widespread shortages. By early afternoon, long lines had formed outside the headquarters of the state-owned Saigon Jewelry Corporation in Ho Chi Minh City, where most consumers came to buy gold rings. Each buyer was limited to 0.3 tael, I don't know how to pronounce that, to prevent hoarding. A tael equals 37 grams or a little over 1 ounce. They limited people to 1 ounce, and look at them lined up outside. But wait till you hear some of these firsthand accounts. Oh my gosh. This is going to come in. When this comes to the United States, then it's really game over. And that's what we can be excited about, guys. Okay. Let's get to this. In purple, in Hanoi, Bao Tin Minh Chow's store on Tram Dam Dong Tong Street sold out of gold rings early in the morning and was only fulfilling pre-orders from the previous week. Quote, there are many buyers today, but supply could not meet demand, said the shop employee. And then just this one story from Own. I feel sorry for her. She's 62 years old, and she gave up. She gave up after waiting in line for hours. She said she prefers investing in gold since at her age, it's difficult to manage or take risk with other types of assets. Basement dwellers, we talked about this many, many times, that the menu of available places to put your value, put your money, put your US dollars, put your Canadian dollars, your euros, whatever. The available menu, like when you go to a restaurant and they're super busy and they're sold out, the menu, and that's what Ohm said, right? The menu at this point for a lot of people around the world only has silver and gold on it, right? Maybe some crypto, great, that's wonderful, whatever. But guys, that's the reality of what's happening around the world right now. And something, the reason why we can be, it's too bad that the world's running out of silver and gold. We saw it coming, but there's a reason why we can be optimistic about that this could get even more extreme. And that's because it hasn't even hit the United States yet, the world's biggest economy, right? The shops here, the one I called on Saturday, they still have metal. With the reason why that's a good thing is because it hasn't even started here yet. Your neighbors, okay, if you live in the United States, you guys are joining from all over the world, and that's awesome. But your neighbors, right? Your neighbors who've never bought, never really paid attention to when we wanted to talk about silver and gold, they like their eyes glazed over. When they come into the game, and we refer to those people endearingly as the sheeple. When the sheeple come running to the gold and silver world, in the United States, it's really going to be game over. So it's absolutely nuts. Now let's go to India. India is the world's biggest importer of silver. People in India, we love you, India. I love Indian people. My kids are friends with them. They're nice people. They're family oriented. And you know what else about people from India? They love gold and silver. They're like Chinese people. It's ingrained in their civilization. They love silver and gold. And wait till you hear this about India, okay? Again, take your blood pressure medicine. Let's all take a deep breath, okay? And this is coming to us from, where did this come from? Business World IN, which maybe means India. The great silver squeeze, India's futures market faces a meltdown risk, all right? And guys, the whole article basically says this, okay? I can tell you what it says. I read it. We need to look eye to eye. It basically says that their futures market, which is called like we have the COMEX, here in the United States. The COMEX, our futures paper make-believe. We're going to look at some data from that in a little bit. That's crazy as well. And we're going to talk about $3,000 silver. But in India, they have a futures market, I think called the MCX. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's a futures market. Like China has the Shanghai Gold Exchange, Shanghai Futures Exchange, based on more physical. Well, the Indian futures market, they're saying, is getting into a very precarious situation. Basically, that like there's not enough silver to back up all the futures contracts, or that it's getting precariously low. We're going to look at the data from the COMEX that I think it's from our friend Make Gold Great Again shared with us. But before we do that, let's talk about $3,000 silver. But before we do that, talking about silver, I want to say thank you to channel sponsor First Mint. First Mint is owned by Keith Neumeyer's First Majestic Silver. They're the only mint out there that digs the silver out of the ground in Mexico. They then ship it directly to Las Vegas, Nevada, where it's transformed into these. Here, I'll show you this one today. World-class silver bullion products. This is got to be the coolest thing ever. It's like a folded American flag. It's called Folds of Honor. And they have a line, like 3 different Folds of Honor silver products, one of which is that 10-ounce bar I just showed you. But what's really cool about it is that part of the proceeds go to support the Folds of Honor Foundation, which provides academic scholarships to children and spouses of fallen and disabled members of the first responder community, like firefighters, police officers, and military members. Okay, so it's a really cool thing, and they've raised over $375,000, and they've funded 75 plus scholarships. But the cool thing, right, about First Mint really is that it's silver that's coming from the mine to the mint to you. Never touched by the COMEX and the LBMA, the freshest silver on the market. And since we're out here, I'll show you where to go to check them out yourself. Here's their website, firstmint.com, all spelled out, okay? They do have free shipping, over $299. Make sure you check that with this craziness in the market. But there's the store, and second from the bottom is that Folds of Honor. Everything they sell is unique. First class, really cool. There's their Las Vegas round, so check them out. And let's talk about $3,000 silver. Okay, I know, crazy, right? What are you saying, Ryan? Oh, how could you say that? I'll tell you why I could say that. I've got real numbers, and it came from one of our community members. I do read the comments. Make sure you leave comments. Make sure you subscribe. That makes this lady right here, right? For those of you who are new, that's upstairs Susie. That makes her very happy. She loves the community. But nonetheless, this community member made it real simple to understand, and I'll make it real simple for you to understand as well when we go read this comment. And I'm going to get the screen up. This came from Rio Sul 50. Okay. He was talking about, when I was talking about comparing the current silver price to 1980 or 2011. And if you adjust it for inflation, the price is in current US dollars is like $100 to $200. But he lays out why we can easily get to $3,000. He says, why not 1980? Okay, easy to understand, guys. Gold in 1980, gold, the price of gold and the price of the Dow were about equal. They were both right around 800, 900. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was 800 or 900, and an ounce of gold was 800 or 900. Silver was about 1/16 of the Dow and the gold. Silver got to $50 per ounce, which is about 1/16 of $800 per ounce for gold, or per unit of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The Dow is now about, we'll say 48,000, which probably is today. And gold is not even 1/10 of the Dow. So let's take a sidetrack onto gold right now. If we got back to like we were in 1980, where gold and the Dow were at parity, where they were equal to each other, we would have 47,000, 48,000 per ounce gold. And silver, if it rose to 1/16 of the Dow again, just like it did in 1980, that's about $2,937 per ounce. And with today's prices, that would be $3,000 per ounce. So guys, if we went back to the same relationship between silver and the Dow that we had in 1980, we really would have $3,000 silver. I know it sounds crazy, but it just happened 45 years ago. And back then, the demand for silver, things were different back then, right? You didn't have China and India, major players in the metals markets, in the world economy. And remember, there's 1.4 billion people each in China and India. That's 2.8 billion people. That's almost 8-9 times the amount of people in the United States. Oh, and by the way, those people are all becoming wealthier and wealthier. And oh, by the way, those 2.8 billion people, right? They love gold and silver. They learned about it from their grandpa. They learned about it from their parents, and they're learning about it right now as gold and silver re-exert themselves as a true form of money like they have been for thousands and thousands of years. All right. Okay. Let's go take a look before I do that, we're going to look at the U.S. debt clock, some data that's incredible. And then we got one more crazy piece of news out of India. Before I do that, I want to say thanks to our other channel sponsor for gold and silver content, First Mining Gold. They're a Canadian gold development stage company. They have two huge gold projects in Canada, Springpole in Ontario, Duparquet in Quebec. They both have multi-million ounces of gold in the ground. Hey, look, I stack silver. I don't keep it here at the house, but I've stacked silver for many years. I've never been a huge physical gold stacker. Kind of wish I was now, but I always did invest in gold mining stocks, okay, including First Mining Gold before they sponsored my channel. And the reason why is I like this idea of owning a stock that owned a lot of gold in the ground, because you could get it for much, much less per ounce. Granted, it's in the ground. They need to get permits, all that great stuff. But that's what I liked about First Mining Gold. It's like owning gold in the ground. It's been drilled. Hundreds of millions was spent drilling and defining these deposits that are huge and in Canada, which is a very safe, desirable jurisdiction, not somewhere far-flung in a country that may have political instability, although some may argue Canada has some political instability. The whole world seems to have a little political instability, but these are big projects in Canada. And this is what's interesting. And this is good same is true, even more so with silver, but also with gold. The big companies, the big mining companies over the last 15 years were not spending money exploring for new gold or silver projects for that matter. Okay. So the pipeline, they have pipelines. Every time they mine an ounce of gold or silver, they got to replace it for future production. And they haven't been doing that. So and that bodes well for silver. Again, really even more so, but it's also extremely true for gold. When these big companies are going to start looking now to replenish their pipelines, right? Because this gold boom just happened, right? And they were paying off debt in the past, that type of thing. They're going to need to look to companies that have big projects in good, favorable jurisdictions. Oh, and there's a bonus on top. These big mining companies now, they gold and silver, are suddenly just beginning to become into fashion. They're going to need to grow as well. Anyway, you can learn more about First Mining Gold at firstmininggold.com. Let's go out and see what the dude has to say with us. Again, I'm going to say it for the third time today. We need to take our blood pressure medicine. This was a friendly reminder from the dude. This comes from the U.S. debt clock. Friendly reminder. The paper to silver ratio right now is sitting at 359 to 1. This means there's 359 people that think they own silver to every one person who actually does. Right? We know what's happening right now with the paper markets, what's going on, the dislocation between the U.S. futures market at the COMEX and what's going on at the LBMA. But guys, let that sink in. Here, let's pull this up. I'm sorry, I didn't show you the right part. There it is right there. This comes a screenshot he took from the U.S. debt clock. But the paper, I think I'm circling it in red. You should be able to see it. The paper to silver ratio right now sits at 359, almost 360 to 1. That's like every day in the year they think they own silver, but only one day out of the year they actually do own silver. And it's even pretty crazy on gold right now as well, almost 140 to 1. So, wow. just absolutely crazy situations that are developing. And one more fun thing to look at, we'll get a big smile from our friends in India, and then we'll ring the gong for you guys. We have over 200 thumbs up. This came from Eric. Am I sharing the right screen? I am. Okay, Eric Young, King Kong 9888. He's like one of the smartest guys out there on X, super highly respected. He says Indian newspaper about silver. This is an Indian, newspaper. Thanks, Bank Weimer, for the heads up. Look at this headline from India. Not even, it's a tongue twister, not even a sliver of silver available. Prices are skyrocketing. There's no silver available. Guys, we are living through a truly, truly epic time to be invested in the precious metals. Before I forget, if you've got some precious metals or something else you want to keep safe, I do want to say thank you to this company. They've been with me now for about a year. It's been a great experience. Dirty Man Safe. These are safes that you bury in your ground. There's a discount code there, RON10. Anything valuable, and they make different sizes. This is actually the smallest, the Dirty Girl. Say hi, Dirty Girl. But they also make the Dirty Man, which is a little bigger, and the Dirty Old Man, which is even bigger than that. But these things are cool. They come with a sleeve and a cap and all kinds of stuff. You can check them out at Dirty Man. Okay, dirtyman.com. Again, RON10 is the discount code. And I mean, it's super cool. When I first heard about him, I was like, oh, it's a piece of plastic tube. And he said, well, let me send you one. And I got it. And I was like, hey, that's actually really cool. Okay, very robust. And then you can hide whatever you want in there. I happen to have a unicorn inside mine. Okay, but think about it. Maybe you have a safe at your house. Maybe you have a safety deposit box at the bank. This gives people an opportunity to diversify and have things kept in a safe place. Well, it's a little bit different. And I want you to think about something. What did those pirates, how did the pirates protect their treasure when they buried it, right? And it's been there for what, thousands of years. When things are buried, it can't get destroyed by fire. Even during those Los Angeles fires, people lost all kinds of stuff that they thought were in fireproof safes, okay? Flood, everything. So then it's kind of fun. You get to be a pirate. Just make sure you remember where you bury it and maybe tell one person, don't tell me, okay? And yeah, all right, guys. So look, this is going to be a wild ride. We've got a lot going on. We talked about Bank of America, $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 gold, $65 silver. Elon Musk, we're going to keep an eye on him. We know what's going on in Vietnam right now. No gold available. India, right? Crazy stuff going on, even on their futures market. It's easy math if we compare to 1980. Thanks to our subscriber that pointed that out, that $3,000 silver is not out of the question. The paper markets are out of control. You got a paper ounce of silver for every 1 day of the year and only 1 real ounce of silver. You be good. Thanks for being here. I got to ring the gong. Thanks for being part of the basement. It's time to ring the golden gong. Listen to it resonate, okay? That's our end of live stream ritual. Thank you for being here. I want you to come back to the basement. It's cold and lonely down here unless you show up. So thanks for showing up, Buttercup. So you could subscribe to the channel. Susie's gone. She didn't get to say hi to you, but I'll say hi for her. Hi, everybody. High five from Susie. She has a mother who's in her 90s who she takes care of. We love you guys. Okay. Take care. Be ready and be prepared. That's the other thing I just want to say. Look, we're going to have some big green days in the future. I know it, but part of that are also some red days. So just be mentally prepared for volatility. Always be safe. I'm not a financial advisor, right? Do your own research. But I think we're in for some good times ahead, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. You take care, and I'll see you next time.